All of us as human beings find different ways to become inspired. Whether it's school, work, or just everyday life, we all find a way to stay motivated.
When experiencing an aha moment, the right temporal lobe activates.
Many people find inspiration in the smallest of things.
Legend has it that Archimedes was just about to step into his bath when the light went off over his head, his aha moment. He had been ordered by his king, Hiero, to find out if his crown was pure gold without destroying it. Archimedes noticed that the water rose in his bath as he stepped in, and the insight struck. The displacement of the water was directly related to the volume of whatever was put into the tub, even his foot. So all he had to do was submerge the crown in water to determine its purity. And as legend has it, Archimedes was so thrilled he shouted "Eureka!" and ran home through the streets of ancient Greece without bothering to put on his toga. To summarize, think of your inspirational cycle as a chipped gear. It spins around when you're inspired, but eventually it'll catch on that chipped part and stop dead in its tracks. When you're inspired, it nudges that cog just enough to get the gear spinning again. And that is what I call the inspirational cycle.
The following two people are great examples of Archimedes' story and are people who find inspiration in everyday life. I first interviewed my good friend Collin Colson. Well, I was actually just going to introduce you to our audience here.
Hello, audience.
This is Collin. Actually, I'm not going to introduce, but as being a close friend, you are a very creative person, and this is why we decided to interview you. And
Drop the voice, Sam.
What?
Drop the voice.
So this is Collin, and he's a very creative person, and that's why I decided to interview him.
Thank you.
And so I just want to ask you, because this documentary that we're making is about inspiration, how do you find your source, or what is your source of inspiration or creativity?
I just like to think of things. I think that it's something that I think is really fun. It's just really fun to think of things and then make stuff.
Is there any best time time or place to think of creative things in a way? Do you lay awake at night, or do you doze off during class?
Both are correct.
Alright.
Oftentimes at night I just think about stuff. One thing is before I want to be like creative or whatever, I listen to a song that I like
Really?
a lot.
My next question would be, what are your favorite sources of ideas and inspiration? And I'm assuming that would be one of those. You want to maybe face... Thank you. All right, that's a
I've
hat.
been expecting you.
All right, that is a hat. But I'm going to continue with my questions. So what are your favorite sources of inspiration? Music, or I know you listen to podcasts,
That's
and you're a big fan of the play Hamilton, which is big right now, and you have tickets, which is huge.
Yeah.
What is your out of those things? What would you say is your favorite?
Oh,
Not
man.
favorite, but best source of thought.
Oh, best source of thought. Well, I think Hamilton's the most inspiring, but
Alright.
Podcasts are really funny,
And they
I
make you think.
everybody, yeah.
Do you have a specific role model? Even though all of these things inspire you and get you thinking, do you have a specific person that inspires you?
I think probably, Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really, really big person of inspiration. But also, I think Dimitri Martin has very clever things that it's kind of amazing how he just thinks of them. I can pull up a few quotes here.
All right, that's actually follow up to my next question is, do you have a favorite quote?
Okay, well, here are some.
All right.
The worst time to have a heart attack is during a game of charades. There's one that I think is really a really good example of just abstract creativity. It's also another funny quote where it's Dimitri Martin. He says, saying I apologize is the same as saying I'm sorry. Unless you're at a funeral. Which is, that's so, how can someone think of that? Like,
Yeah,
so,
that's clever. It's really clever.
and it fascinates me how someone,
Yeah.
where would someone start from that?
I like how you chose that, because it's not necessarily an inspiring quote,
Mhm.
but it's inspiring in the way that it's clever.
That's right.
That's cool. And then my final question is, what are your goals for the future? This is a fun one.
My goals would probably, I just want to be able to do something creative, professionally. Something, I want to be able to write something or produce something as a living.
That's cool. Thank you, kind sir, for joining me on this interview. I was glad that you came over.
The next person I interviewed was my Grandma Ginny from Ohio.
So, hi there.
Hi.
I am really glad that you joined me for this interview, and letting me interview you. I really wanted to do this because you inspire me in the way that you like to live your life and just spend the money on things that are just things that you love, not things. Well, the experiences. You like to spend your money on experiences and not things, and I think that's really astounding. You enjoy those things with the people you care about. So,
Correct.
do you have any life mottos, or not even life mottos, just
I've always believed that you live every day of your life to the fullest. Like, even when I was raising my children, I would want to take them on vacation. I would want to show them things. And I planned for that. That became part of my budget.
how did you get so much into food? I know your favorite food is steak, and you love to live elegant. You don't live elegantly, but when it comes to food, you like to spend.
I like nice restaurants.
You like nice
The reason
restaurants.
being, I believe, is because I enjoy cooking. So I cannot eat in a restaurant that's not as good as what I could make at home. So if I go to a chain or a fast food place, I can make it better at home. So why would I want to do that?
Yeah,
And spend the money.
That's
So I like to go to restaurants that I enjoy that because I know it is something that either I don't make or is better than what I could make. Always remember to be true to yourself. Because number one, Sam, not everyone likes to travel. Your grandma is someone that does. But not everyone does. Your Uncle Mike would never want to go like your mom and I do. But my thing that I would tell you, always be true to you. And what you enjoy and what you like, be true to yourself.
Think of Newton's first law. It states that an object will remain in rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external force. Think of your inspiration as that object, and your motivational source is the action. Why is Martin Luther King Jr. inspiring? He said things that we were too scared to state. He spoke his mind. He spoke his dream.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
8.
Okay, good. Does anything or anyone make you inspired to be happy?
Life itself.
Would you call yourself flamboyant?
A little bit.
Do you try to be flamboyant, or is it just part of you?
Bit of both.
Okay. And what other aspects would you say are a part of you?
I can't think of anything.
Is there anyone in particular that inspires you?
My mom.
Okay, good.
For my longest interview, I interviewed my great aunt or grantee Roxanne, who inspires me through her career and insight on the world. Before this recording, we were talking about how while she was in this House of Representatives for North Dakota, she was trying to even the divide between Democrats and Republicans in the Idaho legislature. So you spent most of your time making sure that the divide between Democrats and Republicans was equal. There was an equal balance.
Well, I tried to create it. Actually, the Democrats did not pick up many seats in the Idaho legislature, so the imbalance of power still exists. But I did what I could do as a citizen, and I do believe people need to be more aware of what's happening in their state legislatures. And too many people just feel like if they vote, they've done their civic duty, and that's only the beginning step. The rest of it is to be aware of what's going on and of communicating with your elected representatives and letting your wishes be known.
What would you say out of all these things that you're explaining to me, what would you say are your top 3 accomplishments? I know that's a big
Well, I would say the Prairie Harvest Foundation. I would say my service in the state legislature, and now more recently, I'm putting together a book on.
And that's what got me started on choosing you.
Yeah.
Because I know it's been a long time getting your book done. I remember when you were like writing it and stuff a long time ago.
Right. Yeah, I worked on it for 5 years. I'm not really writing the book. I just have written just an organizational chapter, or not an organizational, an educational chapter, telling about the person Bill Lawrence, who was a Native American with the Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians in Minnesota. He kept a newspaper devoted to Native American issues alive for 21 years. It was an independent free press, which means that he didn't accept any kind of support or any kind of bossing from anyone other than himself. And he was the voice of the people. The tribal officials, in many cases, are very autocratic. They're not fair in the distribution of tribal monies. They keep a lot of it for themselves. And then ordinary people who don't hold tribal office get no benefit from all of the money that tribes have access to. And they have access to federal money and also to gambling money. There's a little statistic I like to quote, that when people ask me why I am, as a non-Indian, writing a book about Indian affairs, it's to let people know what Bill did, to let his work get noticed on a larger scale. And the reason, one of the things that explains for me why I need to do this, or why I feel I need to do this, the Indian casinos in 2010, and in fact in 2012 also, the number is still pretty much the same. Indian casinos' net income was like $29.9 billion. And the federal allocation in 2012 for Indian tribes, for Indian reservations, was $17 billion. Poverty, poor health, unemployment, the statistics are the worst there than for anywhere in the country. So you know something's going on with that money.
Yeah. It's all going
and
it's all going to the
not
top.
Going where it's supposed to. That's right. So, and that was his mission, was to call attention to that. I think he needs a bigger audience, essentially.
So that's why you chose to write this book, is to bring even more awareness to this problem that he attempted to solve.
His audience were Native Americans. That's who he wrote the paper for. But this book is written for people in a wider audience. I think more American citizens need to know about that situation.
For sure.
And hopefully, when they know that, and then they can, maybe people will begin to do something about it.
I also wanted to know, just how do you get inspired when? Because I'm interviewing you right now, so I can talk about, or to show how you inspire me and all the things that you've done in your life. But I want to know, how do you have any specific way on how you get inspired to do things?
Well, I have a sense of fairness, and when I see people treated unfairly, that bothers me, and I want to do something about it.
You talked about you grew up in Montana and now you're in Idaho. This
Spent a lot of
question
years in North Dakota.
in North Dakota. That kind of leads me to my next question, but which is a little bit off topic. But I want to know what your childhood was like and your time in high school, because I'm in high school now, and I just want to know if you have any tips or just your experience in high school and what kind of person, I guess, you were. If that makes sense.
Well, let's see. I was, unlike you, I did not get to go to high school with people I'd known in grade school. I never, our family never lived in one place very long. For instance, even though I lived in Montana for a lot of years, part of it was in the western part of the state, part of it was in the central part, another part was further east, and then we turned to the western part. And so I went to high school in a town called Kalispell, Montana, and I went there without knowing anybody. I didn't know anyone in the high school.
I only have really one more question to ask you, and that's if you have anything that you want to tell me or my class, or just anything that I need to know for life, just in general. If you have one thing that if you could give one thing to the next generation, if you could give one hint of information.
Well, let's see. Well, I think the most important thing, and something that I didn't come by easily, is getting a good education. I didn't go to college until I was married and had 2 little children. And so I took classes one at a time for a long time. And I wasn't expecting to go to college when I graduated. We were a poor family, we didn't have money. And I went to work right away. After I graduated from high school, I was a stenographer. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's someone who types for businesses, types letters and correspondence and things like that for businesses. And so I didn't go to college until I went one at a time, classes one at a time, when I had 2 little boys, Jake and Jim. And so, take advantage of the opportunities that you have, because it's a lot easier to go to school when you graduate from high school with your peers. I was in college as an adult, and all my classmates were people who were much younger than I. And I was married and had children. Most of the people did not. So take seriously the opportunity that you have to be in a school that you're familiar with and with people you are familiar with, and you'll go to college, as a young person, and have some fun at it, but take it seriously and be aware of what a privilege it really is.
All right.
Okay, Sam. Thank you for asking me to do this. It's a good chance to talk with you.
Yeah. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Look closely at the small things. What do you notice there? Perhaps a bee flying into a flower, perhaps a leaf falling to the ground. What inspires you? Maybe people inspire you, or maybe just a type of food. Everyone has something that inspires them. Find yours.
I'm always on the lookout for things to try and inspire me. I'm desperate for inspiration to come up with a new idea. You know, I was thinking, would it be strange if what you heard in your right ear was sounds that came from that direction over there? Toothbrush maracas, an umbrella with plant pots, teacup cooling fan. This ball is actually the Battle of Waterloo. It's half French, half British. Soldiers melted. If I did wear this more regularly than I do, you know, would my brain fix it, you know, and it would just become normal? You put your fruit in, you know, whatever you want, peaches, pears, bananas, whatever. Put that in, a bit of yoghurt, and then you zip it up, and then you kick this football around the field. Take out the bag and pour a very nice smoothie drink, you know. And people assumed that I was just having fun playing football with myself, but actually I was making a drink. I think I was perfectly normal as a child. My dad thinks I wasn't shy, but I was quiet, definitely. Quiet, shy children do a lot of work in their heads, you know. They're thinking a lot, they're observing a lot. So I suppose maybe as a child the creativity was there, just didn't have an outlet. I had no way of expressing it beyond being in my head.
Well, I couldn't really understand it. It was sort of crazy, you know, crazy ideas, but that's how Dominic is, isn't he? Just these wonderful ideas.
I wouldn't call them crazy. I would say they're more imaginative.
Imaginative. Well, that's what I mean.
And just off the wall, which I've always said that's life, rather than walk on this straight, just go straight off the wall and do things. I've always encouraged him to do that. And he's seen it demonstrated. And it comes out in his thinking and in his work. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that could be the plate like that. And maybe there's a listening horn here. The thing about living in London is that you don't see much wildlife. Well, you actually see foxes occasionally on the street, surprisingly. So I was thinking of doing something where I try to get in contact with the wildlife. Just anything, doesn't matter.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Okay, wait a minute. Keep on going.
Hi, well,
Such a thing as bird watching, but what about bird listening?
This is Blair Glenn. I interviewed him because he inspires me every day to be happy. Would you say that you are a happy man?
For the most part.
Okay. Do you have any serious illnesses?
Personally, no.
Okay. Does anyone in your family?
Yes.
Could you describe those illnesses?
I have two daughters who are very ill. I have a daughter with Lyme disease. She's 24 years old. And my oldest daughter, who's 38, is suffering from a disease called graft versus host disease after having a bone marrow transplant for leukemia.
Do you remember about when your daughters and brother were diagnosed? Because I remember hearing from my dad that your brother has...
My brother passed away 2 months ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he had a brain tumor.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I
have two daughters who were ill, and my brother had a brain tumor. He passed away.
Oh. In what way have these ailments affected the way you look at the world?
Life is short. Life is very, very short. I don't take anything for granted. Money is what people are fighting for. Money is what people are basing their lives on. But money is probably the least important thing in my life right now. You know, family is important. Friends are important. Relationships. Who you are and what you do is so much more than what you have and what you've earned.
I have one final question, and that is, what advice would you give other parents or grandparents whose children have been diagnosed with serious illnesses?
Learn as much as you can. Knowledge is power. If you go blindly into accepting what the doctors say, you'll be blindsided. Because doctors are people too. Doctors make lots of mistakes. And you really need to be prepared with all the information so that you can make the right decisions. And you have to understand every drug that your child is on. You have to understand every procedure that they're about ready to go through. You cannot just go through accepting everything that they throw out there because you're going to get 10 different doctors that'll give you 10 different opinions.
Oh. It was an honor.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
So if you are somebody who inspires, whether it's for achieving a goal, overcoming an obstacle, or just being a great supporter, know that there is somebody out there who looks up to you. How far do your roots go?